Hey, how are we doing?
What launch team
Wait a
works
minute.
on an issue
My phone
with
is.
engine number 3?
Hey, there we go. Hi. I did turn off YouTube on my phone. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Legal Vices. It's Monday. It's Maritime Monday again. It's the time we look into maritime accidents and maritime related accidents. And we sort of do whatever else happens to be relevant at the moment, which, as most of you know, is the Artemis 1 missile launch. Fuck me. Sorry, my mind is a little bit wandery today. I got to bring it in the Artemis 1 rocket launch as NASA decides to try to make another crack at going back to the moon. So I've got the screen here. I'm monitoring it. We'll go live to the rocket launch if and when it happens. They're on an unscheduled delay right now. There's a problem with the core of one of the rockets. They said that they are looking at a plan on moving forward, and there should be some new information in about 10 minutes. So I'll update you as information there becomes available. I said I've got it here. I'm looking at it. I'm watching it, and we'll let things. Oh, here we go. The launch director is consulting with the members of her team. Still waiting for the cryo team to report out. And they should be back in about 10 minutes. The reason my mind is kind of wandery today is because Korea. Korea is a bit iffy today. Sometimes it's a good, convenient place. Sometimes it's not very convenient. Today is one of the days is not very convenient. The battery on my Jeep is deader than a doornail. I need a new battery. I needed a new battery last Saturday, but for some reason here in Korea, the Jeep service, well, I should say here in Busan, because in other cities it's not the same. The Jeep service center here in Busan, and there's one Jeep service center for a city of 5 million people, plus the outlying areas. One service center, and they're not open on the weekends. So I can't just go and pop in and buy a new battery on Saturday because they're not closed. So the Jeep stayed in the office all weekend. Get there today, call them up, and what do they tell me? Gee, sorry, we can't bring it. You're going to have to tow your Jeep to us to get the battery changed. I said, well, first of all, it's ridiculous that I have to tow my Jeep a good, 6-7 miles, about 10 kilometers to get the battery replaced. So, Dad, don't you have like a service that will come out and bring me a battery and do it? No, you have to come here yourself or bring the Jeep here for us to do it. Well, the problem there is that their service center hours are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which coincidentally is exactly the times that I'm in my office. So, yeah. I called the insurance roadside service today, and they came out and they got the Jeep started. They got just enough juice for the engine to turn over, and it's like 3 kilometers. It's like an hour. It was like a mile and a half, almost 2 miles from my office to my home. Went straight home. Just sat in the parking lot for 45 minutes, letting the engine run, trying to charge up the battery. Turned it off. Tried to turn it back on. Battery's dead. It's not holding a charge. Need the battery. So now I'm in a situation where I've got to find a battery. Then I've got to figure out how to get there, when to get there. And because a Jeep is US standard measurements and I only have metric ratchets and tools, I got to get the tools to do it. So that's why I was just a little bit frazzled there coming in. But now that I've got that out of my system, I think we're good. How are you all? How are you all doing? It's just these little tiny things that just drive me crazy about this place. All in all, it's a beautiful, wonderful, relaxing, very, very convenient place to live. But sometimes it's just not. and now is one of those not times. All right, with that out of the way, welcome everyone. I know we've all got our problems and things, and in the whole grand scheme of possible problems in life, that's not a big problem. It's a minor annoyance that has just gotten out of control, because changing a battery on your car shouldn't take 4 or 5 days. It really shouldn't. Okay. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning in Florida. I know some of you in the stream live actually pretty close to the rocket launch site. You've sent me pictures to Twitter, and I've seen comments here. Um, I'm watching it here. It's 9:08 p.m. in Korea, and welcome to the mods. Mods, it's great to see you all here. Alan, Rose, Steph, my super mods, you're all here. Who else we got? Kitty Cat, hey, welcome. Good morning and evening to you too. All right, we're streaming through here. Oh, and Flux has started us off with a super chat. Happy Monday, LV. As always, pants are a prison. Yes, they are. As always, at least until it gets a little bit chilly in the winter, then the pants come on. But we're just kicking it here tonight, and I don't know. All right. This is how we're going to do this. We'll continue on with Maritime Monday as if nothing was going on. But when there are updates from the folks at NASA, then I'll either update them or cut to their updates, and we'll keep watching this because this is a pretty historic moment. And we can always go back and do these Maritime videos at another time. But I really need to stop talking with my hands because that's about the 4th time I've hit the microphone today. So we'll cut away to the NASA stuff if and when there are any big developments, or if they decide to go ahead with the launch and we get close to the launch time. Until then, we'll just kind of continue down the road here with Maritime Monday. And to bring us up to speed on Maritime Monday, as I said, that's where we just look at the accidents and whatnot that are going on. We're going to be looking at some major, major explosions today. One of them was in the 1940s out of Texas. These are all pier explosions, by the way. Explosions either happened on board vessels at piers or on the piers themselves. There was a huge explosion in Tianjin, China a couple of years ago. And then when it was at the end of 2020, 2021, there's the gigantic explosion in Beirut. Those are the 3 things that we're going to be looking at today. And as well as like a bonus little episode for a case that I'm involved in. So we'll keep the eye on NASA. We'll go ahead and do this and proceed as normal. What do we got coming up? Coming up this week, Tomorrow's is a very interesting day. So put this down on your calendars as well. We'll be talking about the police use of force. When it's justified, when it's not justified, what happens when it comes to a decision to whether or not to prosecute an officer for, I guess, going above and beyond the normal bounds of force, where it would be assault or whatever, or manslaughter, or possibly even murder, depending on what the outcome is. So, it's that decision whether or not to prosecute police officers. And we'll be having a very special guest. We'll be joined by Danny On. I don't know if any of you remember Danny On from an earlier stream we did a couple of months ago. Danny On is a candidate for Salt Lake County District Attorney. She's up for election in November. She's one of the 2 candidates for the position of Salt Lake County, Utah District Attorney. She's running against Sim Gill, who is a prosecutor, the district attorney who's been there, and he has come under a lot of fire lately for delaying decisions on whether or not to prosecute police officers, delaying decisions whether or not to pursue DV charges against spouses, or grape investigations. Some of his cases have been open for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and even 9 years. And there was just a decision that came down in Salt Lake County the other day where Sim Gill decided not to prosecute an officer for allegedly improperly shooting someone, a mentally disturbed person who had a weapon, but we'll look into it. It was a very, very controversial shooting 4 years ago, and he just decided a couple of days ago not to pursue charges against the officer. We'll look at that. We'll break that down with Danny on here, and we'll also look at another incident that is currently in the news in Salt Lake City. A man who was intoxicated and or having a mental episode was taken down by police officers, and he passed away shortly thereafter. Not sure whether he passed away at the scene or shortly thereafter at the hospital, but we'll be looking at body cam footages from that incident from several different officers. We'll be looking at the news stories, and a lot of bias and a lot of what I think is misreporting. And we'll also be talking about updates in the Arkansas police beating video that we saw last week and was making news last week. So we'll be looking at what I personally consider to be maybe an unjustified shooting by the Salt Lake County police, Salt Lake City police officer. One that I just don't understand what the uproar is about, because to me it looks like the police did everything correctly. And you can all be the judge of that by looking at the body cam footage and considering the requirements that the Salt Lake Police Department has for use of force and de-escalation. And we'll be talking more about the Arkansas incident, which to me, I'm still trying to be open-minded, but it's seeming less and less likely that it was a justified beatdown of a guy. So as I said, we'll look at those three things, and we'll be talking about them together with Danny On, who is the Salt Lake County District Attorney candidate running against the incumbent, and she'll have a lot of insight on that, I think, and she'll be bringing her own ideas and opinions on those issues. Wednesday, Johnny Depp was back in the news big time with the Video Music Awards, MTV Music Video Awards last night. If you haven't seen that, go check out the I'm sure it's all over YouTube, all over Twitter. He did some funny stuff. That was great to see. We'll be doing the interview that the Beverly Hills Bar Association did with Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez. Just a lighthearted. Sometimes we just need to have good news. We just need to have feel-good streams. And that's what that will be. We'll do that on Wednesday. Thursday, we're looking at the opening arguments in the O.J. Simpson trial. We'll be looking at the prosecutor's opening statements. And then as we go on, we'll look at the defense opening statements. We'll look at some of the key arguments. We'll look at the infamous glove incident, and we'll look at the closing arguments in that case. But we'll start Thursday with reviewing the opening statements for the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. And you can compare and contrast that with how televised opening statements are given these days. The O.J. Simpson trial, it wasn't the first trial to be televised, but it was the one that created this industry of court TV, and the increase in popularity of the court shows. They gave birth to this genre of court TV, essentially. So we'll be looking at that. Friday is the double Fuck It Friday stream, the F It Friday stream, where I just grift like a mofo. You throw $100 shots at me. For $100, that gives you a shot. You get to dictate what particular brand of rot gut whiskey I have on hand that I take a shot of, and it gets you a super chat as well. It's just a pure fun grift stream. And while we're doing that, we'll be doing the Unexplained, our weekly Unexplained with Fair and Balanced. She'll be on the channel because we're talking about space-related things this week with the Artemis 1 launch. We'll be talking about unexplained space-related incidents, not necessarily aliens, but bases on the moon, astronauts, several astronauts that have expressed their belief in extraterrestrial life, that have seen unexplained things in space, that are involved in particular mysteries. We'll be talking about that, and then we'll be talking about some other fun stuff. So join in Friday for the F It Friday drunk stream. Throw your shekels, dollars, pounds, and coins at me. Get me liquored up, and enjoy the stream with Farron and Balance's Eye as we talk about the mysteries and unexplained events in space. All right, we've got 100 people here now, 72 likes. That looks like a great place to start our show. I was just waiting for the 10-minute update from NASA. It didn't come. So we're going to start with a lively little episode that took place a week ago. This particular case is only 1 week ago. It involves a 39-meter super yacht. It's called My Saga. The yacht sank off the coast of Italy a week ago. It was built in 2007, so as far as yachts go, it's a pretty new yacht. And it's flagged in the Cayman Islands, which is a very, very, very common place for yachts to be flagged. We call it a flag of convenience, where they've got good insurance law, good registration laws, and you don't have a lot of requirements for owning a boat. It's literally a place to conveniently register your ship. Well, what happened here was the ship just kind of started to take on water. They sent the port authority. They sent a message to the port authority. They're in Italy saying that they were taking on water, and it was kind of starting to list a little bit to starboard. It was tilting a little bit to right. All right, we've got another NASA update. T-minus 40 minutes in holding. And they are still working on troubleshooting a plan for engine number 3. It's apparently they have some hydrogen or oxygen that's bleeding from the engine, and they're trying to assess that. The engineers are on scene. They're discussing it and trying to develop a plan. More on that later as things progress. So back to our friendly neighborhood super yacht. It's taking on water. It's starting to list to starboard, starting to tilt to the right. They send out a mayday to the Coast Guard. They send out saying, "Hey, we're taking on water. We need a tow." Tugboat shows up and they start towing the super yacht towards shore, but then the weather conditions got bad. And what was already starting as a slight list to starboard became a very, very bad list to starboard. And then this happened. Let's bring up the video to see and witness the last few moments of the good ship, My Saga. Here we are. Oh, wow. All righty then. Let's why is it not letting me increase the size? There we go. So this is a $42 million yacht. You're witnessing the death of a $42 million yacht off the coast of Italy. Goodbye, ship. That I can't imagine how much that would suck to have invested $42 million into something like that and just watch it slowly sink to the bottom of the ocean. So you can see where it's just taking on the water. And that's the unfortunate thing. Once something starts taking on water like this, unless you can seal it off, it just starts taking on more and more water. And then we'll just watch it die one more time. Then the investigation starts. Then the insurance adjusters come. Well, that's sad. That was a $42 million ship that just went down. All right. I just wanted to bring that to you because that was brand new news. Like I said, it happened 6 days ago, I believe. So cheers to that ship. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what I'm into tonight, it's the Yellow Rose American whiskey from Texas. Cheers to the saga that is no longer here. So, all right, that was the lighthearted part of the day. Now we're going to get into some pretty significant tragedies. And before we get into that, I just wanted to say, hey, again, to everybody that's here, shout out to you. We have 127 people here right now, 90 likes. So get in there, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. That lets YouTube know that you like what's going on. And also, it lets me know that you like what's going on. And YouTube is apparently still purging subscribers, so double check to make sure you're still subscribed if you already have been subscribed, because it's dropped a significant amount all at once, like within an hour. 20 subscribers just disappeared for no apparent reason. So yeah, look into that. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Hit the like button, hit the notification button. And as we go through this, particularly with the rocket launch, particularly with these incidents, if there's a question you have, if there's something you want to say, if you want to get your opinion out there, if you want to get your views out there and make sure that it's addressed and read and answered by me, the best way to do that is the super chats. There is no minimum, there's no requirement you do it to get a question answered. There is no minimum amount of super chat you have to do that. I don't play that game. If you want to do it, it guarantees you'll get your comment, question, or statement addressed. Otherwise, I try to keep my views on the chat as much as possible, but I'm not always able to do so. So super chat if you want to make sure. And then Friday will be the super chat grift day, as we've already said. So the first case that I want to look at is the case that one of you viewers suggested. I think actually more than one of you did. There was a bunch of fertilizer. Let me bring this up here. Here we are. The fertilizer. I'm going to stop this screen and bring it up in a different screen so where it's easier to deal with. There we go. Boom. All right. This is an explosion that happened in Texas. As it says history here, because it was April 16th, 1947 when this happened. And what happened is you had fertilizer loaded onto a freighter, the freighter Grandcamp. This is the Grandcamp explosion in Texas City. So those of you that are in Texas may know about this because it was suggested to me by one or two of you viewers. And as it says here, that nearly 600 people lost their lives. The number that I had for this is they estimated up to 600 people, 600 dead and 4,000 people injured in this particular explosion. So that's a pretty massive explosion. Greg Hansen here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yar, hey, we've got our Polish fisherman captain's hat on. That's what we do on Maritime Monday. Thank you so much for the yar, Greg Hansen. Much appreciated. Piracy is always a good thing. Old school pirates, not the modern like Somalian pirates and things, like good old fashioned R pirates. So what happened here with this explosion? Ammonium nitrate. And if any of you remember or are familiar with the Oklahoma City bombing that took place in the United States way back in the day, that was ammonium nitrate fertilizer. At the Oklahoma City bombing that took out the federal building there was 5,000 tons of ammonium nitrate. Well, this is a little more significant. Ammonium nitrate was used as an explosive by the U.S. Army in World War II, and after the war ended, production of the chemical continued as its use as a fertilizer became accepted. However, the precautions used in its transport became far more lax in the post-war years. On April 16th, the Grandcamp was loaded with ammonium nitrate as well as tobacco and government-owned ammunition. Oops. Yeah, it had fertilizer, tobacco, and ammunition. Cigarette smoking, although officially banned, was a common practice by longshoremen on the docks. What could possibly go wrong with explosive fertilizer and ammunition? Well, this is what happened. Just 2 days prior to the explosion, a cigarette had caused a fire on the docks. So there you go. They know there's problems here because it's something that already happened a couple of days before this incident. On the morning of April 16th, smoke was spotted deep within one of the Grandcamp's holds. Some water and an extinguisher were used to fight the fire, but hoses were not employed for fear of ruining the cargo. So, yeah, it's on fire, but they don't want to ruin the cargo, so they don't bring in firefighting hoses. There was already 2,300 tons of the ammonium nitrate loaded on the ship. While the ammunition was removed from the ship, the crew attempted to restrict oxygen to the holds in hopes of putting out the fire. Apparently, they did not realize that because of ammonium nitrate's chemical composition, it does not require oxygen in order to burn. So by 9 a.m., flames had erupted from the hold, and within minutes, it exploded. The blast was heard 150 miles away and was so powerful that the ship's 1.5-ton anchor was found 2 miles away. Think about that. A 1.5-ton anchor was blown 2 miles by the force of this explosion. The force of the explosion lifted another ship right out of the water. People working at the docks were killed instantly. Pieces of flaming debris damaged the oil refineries in the area. A nearby Monsanto chemical storage facility also exploded, killing 234 of the 574 workers there. Nearly all of the survivors were seriously injured. A residential area of 500 homes was also leveled by the blast. Can you imagine the force of that? It throws a 1.5-ton anchor 2 miles. It lifts another ship out of the water. It levels 500 homes. Another ship, the High Flyer, which was carrying similar cargo, was pushed completely across the harbor. The crew fled when it came to rest, failing to notice that a fire had started, and the next day, their ship also exploded. 2 people died. All in all, 581 people died and 3,500 were injured. The explosion caused $100 million in damages. And remember, those are $1947. That would be exponentially more today. So $1947, it caused $100 million in damages. A long disputed court case over the cause of the blast was resolved when Congress granted compensation to 1,394 victims. They received a total of $17 million in 1955, 8 years after the accident. The port was rebuilt to handle oil products only. So that's the news story for this place. That's the news story behind the accident. Now, let's go and take a look at a video. This is an old school video of the explosion. Let me make sure I haven't missed any super chats. No, Yar is our last super chat. Cool. All right. So here we have an old video. I guess they were movies back then, old films of the incident. And then we'll take a more in-depth look at the actual accident itself. Oops. Texas explosion.
Desperation, the fire chief called for tugs to tow the Grandcamp into the bay. It was too late.
Watch this. Watch this explosion. That's from one ship.
The Grandcamp blew up, mowing down everyone on the wharf.
Jesus.
And scattering debris over a large part of Texas City. Windows were shattered as far as 10 miles away in Galveston. 2 light aircraft flying above the port were also caught in the explosion.
How's that? It took out 2 airplanes. When have you ever heard of that happening? It blows out windows 10 miles away and takes out 2 airplanes.
Their occupants killed. But the situation worsened as the black oily smoke built up over Texas City.
Oof. So that was some video of the explosion itself. These chemicals are serious things. I mean, you think it's just a pile of stuff. It's a pile of chemicals or a tank of chemicals. But once things get out of control, that's one of the problems and one of the high dangers of chemical incidents. A fire, you can try to stop it from burning other things, spraying with water, doing whatever. Each chemical has its own particular properties. And like you said here, the ammonium nitrate, like they said, doesn't need oxygen to burn. So you can't smother the fire. And we all know you don't put water on a grease fire. So every chemical fire has its own way of being put out. And you have to be careful that you don't screw up your efforts to put it out by using something that's just going to make the situation worse. So you have to be very, very careful for these things. And once a chemical fire starts, they are incredibly hard to extinguish. And the explosive potential, I mean, we've just seen it there. But there was a television program that was done in the... Oh, we have more news from NASA. Hang on. Oh, well, shit.
Has called a scrub of the attempt of launch of Artemis 1 and the Space Launch System with the Orion spacecraft. The issue that came up was an engine bleed that couldn't be remedied, but the rocket is currently in a stable configuration.
Scrubbed,
it was mostly tanked, but not completely tanked. Engineers are now working on a plan to continue gathering data about this particular engine and the bleed that didn't work out. The rocket, the hydrogen bleed rather was a goal of the previous wet dress rehearsal that didn't happen due to a hydrogen leak. So engineers are focused on gathering as much data as they can at this time. So they have not gone to draining the rocket just yet. They're going to keep it in its current configuration and gather that data. To summarize, we held at T-minus 40 minutes and counting after the team was unable to get past engine bleed that didn't show the right temperature once they got into the engine bleed test.
Well, shoot.
And ultimately, the launch director has called a scrub for the day. The earliest opportunity, depending on what happens with this engine bleed, would be September 2nd. That is available to the launch team. However, we will await a determination of what the plan is to go forward to remedy the engine bleed, and then go from there. Again, an availability to launch. The next availability to launch is 12:48 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, September 2nd. But we must wait to see what shakes out from their test data that they're currently gathering now.
That's too bad. I was looking forward to seeing
that's made by the launch team about where to go from here.
All righty, then we'll just we'll leave that at that. The launch has been scrubbed for today. The earliest window is going to be September 2nd. That'll be Friday. So there's a good chance that if they're able to go ahead with it by then, I'll be liquored out of my brain at the end of our Fuck It Friday stream by that point. Yep. So that's unfortunate. But we'll check in Friday during the stream and see what happens then as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get we'll be able to be together when this thing goes up, because that would be fun to watch. And with that out of the way, I guess we don't need to worry about it anymore tonight. That's better safe than sorry. Every one of these, this rocket launch is, they said it costs was it $4.1 billion. So I guess we want to make sure we get it right. We want to make sure we do it properly. Anyway, back to the Texas City disaster. There was a TV series called Survival that was done in the 1960s. And in 1964, 1965, and they did an episode of this show about the Grandcamp disaster. And so what we're going to look at now is about a 20-minute video, 19-minute video that was from this 1965 television program about the 1947 accident. So the video's not the greatest, the audio's not the greatest, but it's like 50 years old. Well, it's more than 50 years old. It's almost 60 years old. So be a little bit understanding there. And as we go through, if you like this, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, and keep me in mind and hit that notification. Be glad to have you here. Glad to watch you here, and let's go.
We begin in April 1947. A chemical explosion is about to turn Texas City into hell on earth.
This is Texas City, located 10 miles north of Galveston, on the shores of Galveston Bay. World War II brought big industry, especially chemicals and oil, made it a boom town. In 5 years, the influx of workers swelled its population from 5 to 18,000. Chief among the industrial plants ringing the harbor, the expanding Monsanto Chemical Company. In 1947, half of the nation's styrene supply comes from this one Texas City plant. 1 mile directly beyond Monsanto is the business district of Texas City. There are 3 main slips in Texas City's busy harbor. Behind them are clustered the tank farms of a number of the nation's most prominent oil companies. On the morning of April 16, 1947, the center slip berthed 2 ships. At Pier B, the SS Wilson B. Keene. At Pier A, the SS High Flyer. Separated by 500 feet of warehouses, at Pier O lies a barge. And the French freighter SS Grandcamp.
So, I mean, Texas, back then, Texas was a huge oil place, a huge chemical place, and it still is. It's still one of the leading, if not the leading, oil port outside of the Middle East. They do huge amounts of chemicals there, huge amounts of oil. So there's a big history of risk there. And that's why safety is an absolute must. As you can see, the way ports and piers are organized, you have a lot of ships doing a lot of things right next to each other.
This is Ron Stone. A Grandcamp lay across this slip, taking on a cargo of ammonium nitrate, a fertilizer that is good, comparatively inexpensive, and under certain conditions, highly explosive. Just what these conditions are wasn't clear, apparently, to the men aboard the Grandcamp. For instance, though signs prohibited smoking, the warnings were ignored.
Went aboard the ship, and we seen smoke coming up from between the cargo on the side of the ship. They had a water bucket down there they'd been drinking water out of, so I told them to throw the water bucket and everything down there to see if they could put the fire out. Well, it had no effect. So about that time, the crew members started coming down in the hold with fire extinguishers from the ship. Well, it did no good.
Before 8:30, 27 volunteers at the Texas City Fire Department arrive on the dock.
27 firemen are trying to put out a seemingly small. Debbie Livingston said, yeah, the launch of Scrub Front. Yeah, we just talked about that. September 2nd is the next date they'll have available. Whether or not they're able to launch at that point, we'll left to be seen. But yeah, here 27 firefighters are trying to put out this fire on the ship.
Texas City has a new fire engine, and this is its first time out.
Oops.
This is not the first time out for the volunteer firemen, though. Most are expert at extinguishing chemical and oil fires.
Hey, Chris Dahl, welcome. Good to see you.
Hundreds of spectators, attracted by the billowing smoke, begin to pour into the waterfront area.
See, isn't that just the shit? Isn't that just the way we are as people? People driving their cars to get closer to see the smoke and things. This is the 1947 version of the idiots who will stand right next to something really, really dangerous and film it or on their phones. This is them making videos on their phones, the 1947 version. Oh, look, something's going on down at the pier. Let's jump in our car and run down there and get really, really close to it to see what it's all about.
At 8:50, a housewife and amateur movie maker, Mrs. Fred Knappenberger, with her 8mm camera, begins filming the burning ship in the industrial area.
See, this is literally the 1947 version of making videos on your damn phone. She runs down there with her camera to make an amateur video.
Shortly after 9, Mrs. Knappenberger, searching for a better vantage point,
drives
over to the Texas City dike for an unobstructed view across the water of the burning Grandcamp. The time is 9:12.
And isn't this is so it? We literally, this is the same shit we have today. We literally have someone taking a video of someone else taking a video. There you go. And that's, I guess she had the video we just saw. Shame on you, Bob Johnson. Shame on you.
Two explosions, only seconds apart, go off with the force of the Nagasaki atomic bomb. The first explosion has hurled the Grandcamp's nitrate high in the air over the ship, where it has exploded in an even more devastating blast, smashing everything below and rocking the Gulf Coast for 150 miles.
Can you just imagine the force of that explosion? Just think of everybody. Just think of where you are now. Think what's 150 miles away. What would that be? That would be, I think, about 120 kilometers. Convert 150 miles to kilometers. 241 kilometers away. I was just about right. So think of something that's 241 kilometers away from where you are. Think of something that's 150 miles away from where you are. That's like from here almost to Seoul for me. That's almost on the other diagonal corner of the country of Korea from me. And imagine something 240 kilometers or 150 miles away from you exploding and you feeling it. That is a big explosion.
The force of the explosion is detected on a seismograph as far away as Denver.
There you go. Earthquake detecting seismographs picked up this Texas Gulf Coast explosion in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, someone in the chat here was saying the people on the port probably didn't know what hit them. Yeah, if they're feeling the explosion with seismographs in Denver, the people standing on the pier didn't have any clue what happened.
All 27 volunteer firemen were killed instantly, along with many of the spectators.
The
Monsanto plant is leveled. Inside, 227 are killed. Many are decapitated or crushed by flying debris, strangled by poison gases, then swept by fire. Pieces of the Grandcamp weighing tons are found almost a mile away. Warehouses, pipelines, concrete walls have been ripped apart and hurled through the air like so many cardboard toys. The barge moored next to the Grandcamp is tossed 200 feet across land into a parking lot.
God dang. The barge ends up in a parking lot across the pier. Now, James says that's a fuel air bomb right there. Exactly. That's one thing they just mentioned. The ship exploded. The ammonium nitrate gases go up into the air and then reignited. Gah. I mean, vicious, vicious bomb. Ugh.
And the parking lot itself has been turned into a junkyard. Even a light airplane flying over the scene has been blasted out of the sky.
God.
Almost every house within a 1 mile radius of the explosion has collapsed, and virtually every window is shattered for 2 miles.
Yeah, that's exactly what Tweety Kid just said here in chat. The air concussion must have been deadly too. It's shattered almost every window within 2 miles, and they said they were breaking windows up to 10 miles away. So that'd be what, 16 kilometers, something like that. Damn.
As far away as 2 miles, people driving in their cars are killed by the barrage of flying debris.
God. 2 miles away.
Red-hot shrapnel hurtled through the air, piercing oil tanks and releasing a flood of flaming gasoline and oil.
And that's the secondary explosion they were talking about, where it damaged the next guys over, and then they exploded, and then the ship across the harbor explodes the next day. And God. I mean, fuck.
Balls of twine, also a part of the Grandcamp's cargo, are sent flaming through the air, further spreading the fire. By radio, telephone, and telegraph, the news is flashed to the nation. There is no water, and it appears that the entire city is about to be overwhelmed. Within minutes, the highway between Galveston and Texas City is filled with doctors, ambulances, and fire engines speeding to the scene. Even though only one circuit is working, a telephone supervisor sends the first desperate appeal for help to the outside world. For God's sake, send the Red Cross. Thousands are dying.
These are the things. I mean, I remember before cell phones, when you had the wall phones. I remember before we had push button phones, we had the rotary dial phones. But these were back when they had switchboards. I mean, you couldn't make a call without someone connecting the call for you. There was no way to get mass messages out. There was no way to, other than through radio. God.
The Red Cross arrives in force and organizes one of the largest emergency operations in history.
Well, this is one of the largest, emergency rescues in history. I believe this still may be the largest disaster in U.S. history, with the largest loss of life, I believe, again, is the is 9/11. But as far as like just the scope of the disaster, I believe this is still the largest in U.S. history.
Field hospitals are hurriedly set up to care for the hundreds of burned and injured victims.
We're down right in the midst of it with gas masks on account of the sulfur, and afraid that one of these big grain elevators are going to blow up. We've been down here ever since noon. We haven't stopped a minute. We have given emergencies. We're down here with over 300 firemen, giving them hot coffee, washing their eyes, which had several injured, and 25 firemen have perished over by the docks. They were burnt, and
I mean, that looks like Hiroshima or Nagasaki after a nuclear bomb. I'm just taking the scope of that.
Truck went on down into the water. We have another truck up here off of the road. It had about 10 or 15 men, and they were all crushed.
Everything down here is tore up very badly. Everything is leveled off in one of the greatest disasters I've ever seen. It looks worse than the disaster of Coventry in England. All the equipment and everything is leveled off here. The barges on.
Yeah, and see, these are the people that have just got back from World War II. This was 1947. That's why we have them comparing things like it looks worse than Coventry, England was leveled. And those of you that may be in England would have a much more of a connection to what that means than to somebody in Texas. But this is the somebody living in Texas saying it reminds them of something worse than the leveling of Coventry, England during World War II. Crystal, hey, Supermod, thank you so much for the super chat, you Supermod. My penance for being late. All righty, well, that's there is no penance for being late. We're just grateful when the mods show up. We love the mods. We've got Steph, she's the Supermod. We've got Queen Bee Steph. We've got King Alan. We've got Queen Bee Crystal here, and Rose, are you still here, or did Rose have to step out? We've got our great mods here tonight. So again, kudos to all you mods. There is no penance for being late. There's just my gratefulness for your super chat. So again, yeah, those of you that live in England may have more of a frame of reference for the Coventry comment that was made a little bit ago. But these are the people that saw the devastation of World War II, and that's what they're comparing this accident to.
On the ground in towns where there's laid flat. To my knowledge, it's one of the greatest disasters that could ever happen to this world.
Sightseers stay at home and listen to the radio and let the men that are down here do the work.
Already we've rescued about 5 dead and 4 injured. And I imagine there's still more that are buried in the buildings we were in that we couldn't get to.
I've been digging the bodies out, carrying them out. Well, I've carried out about 10 or 15 myself.
There's a lady that had 2 children. And she's lost both children there and hasn't been able to find them. The man was walking along with his wife with a little baby, and during the explosion, the baby disappeared from their arms. They haven't seen the baby since.
God dang. Yeah. got no words for that. You just pile the family into the car to go down and watch a fire because apparently there's nothing else better to do in your life at that point. You got your baby there with you, and the explosion literally blows the baby out of your arms, and you never see your baby again. Jeez.
Emergency calls for drugs and medical supplies go out, and all over the country, planes begin a gigantic airlift to the stricken city. The demand for the new penicillin is so great that it threatens to exhaust the nation's supply.
Yeah, can you imagine? This is the new penicillin. Do we even think about penicillin anymore? This is the new wonder drug, penicillin. And this accident was so bad that they were in risk of depleting the penicillin supply in the United States.
From as far away as California and Massachusetts, supplies and personnel are rushed in to aid the rescue operation.
There is a few fire trucks and everything now going to work on the building where there is people trapped that can't get out and are probably dead by now.
Jesus, look at that.
A few bodies out and so far.
And remember, all of this devastation you're seeing here happened from one ship exploding. One ship. And that likely happened because of one person smoking one cigarette in the hold of one ship. Colonel Crayon says, I'm English and my great-grandmother's house was hit by a bomb when she was a child. Her bedroom door was broken in half, salvaged, and now the bottom half is used as a gate in my house. Wow, that's really cool. That's a gate you're going to want to keep around, excuse me. Thank you for that comment. Andrew Maggard, speaking of chemicals, when's your next Friday grift? This Friday. This Friday is my next grift. Fair and Balance will be here for an Unexplained. We're going to be talking about moon-related things and astronaut-related things and space-related stuff, as well as whatever else we're sober for. But this Friday is the grift stream. Bring your super chats and bring them hard. That's a little bit of pre-grift there. So, again, this whole thing you're looking at here, this entire scene of devastation was likely caused by one little cigarette in one hold of one ship in a port. I mean, look, again, just watch this and think one cigarette.
And everything now going to work on the building where there is people trapped that can't get out and are probably dead by now.
Got quite a few bodies out, and so far I've been finding is bits, just pieces of jawbone and stuff like that.
These terrific explosions have sent hundreds of people to their deaths.
Oh, we want some ambulance and some doctors down here to help these boys. They're in bad shape, some of them. So send us some help down here and help us out a little bit.
That explosion has killed hundreds of persons. Some estimates are...
You degenerate, Tony.
So it's really worse than any invasion that could ever happen to any land.
The Army had units here. The 48th Marine Battalion from Houston, Texas, is ready to stand by to safeguard property and to prevent any looting, of which, by the way, there has been no sign.
How different is that from today? They've got the Army or the Marines just standing around waiting to protect and help prevent looting, but there's been no looting. The degenerate status of America these days, looting would have already begun a long time ago if this happened today.
There is no evidence of any looting. The entire community is suffering shock.
I was actually just thinking about that, Just Cause. I was thinking about that watching the fire, thinking, damn, what if this had been in color?
All except rescue workers are barred from the city. Martial law is not declared, but it takes a state pass to enter the burning town. Pumpers are arrive from Houston, and water from the bay is poured into the plane.
We're going to stay here until things are well under control. We knocked the fire out to the just this side of the grain elevator, and the boys are now working on the docks, just off from the cotton sheds. We're stationed our pumper. Number 3's pumper is just off of the grain elevator, and everything is working fine. We have another company in town taking care of the city of Texas City. We're going to stay over here, and this thing is well under control. So you folks that have these boys over here that's fighting these fires.
God, yeah. Well, see, in Denver here, it says, imagine flying over that area that had just had 2 planes swatted down just for a few dollars. Yeah. No. And again, that's another important thing to note, was that they didn't want to put out the fire with water because they didn't want to ruin the cargo, because that would cost money. So they tried to smother it, not understanding that it doesn't need oxygen to burn. Again, trying to save a few dollars. People putting their lives in danger to make a few dollars, people putting all these lives at risk just to save a few dollars.
Don't worry about them. They're all okay, and they're doing a bang-up job. We have to do a good job. There's lives here, and bodies, lives are saved, and bodies yet to get, and we must stay here until the job is done.
God,
we're not home.
Look at that. Look at the scope of that.
An emergency morgue is set up, and distraught survivors wait in an ever-lengthening line.
A garage was utilized and made into a temporary morgue. There, 128 bodies were piled, while these relatives came to identify the dead. Already, some 300 estimated dead are being counted here in Texas City. The toll may be even larger because many persons are seriously injured. The fire continues. There is still danger of more explosions. The Army, the governor of Texas, Buford Jester, the mayors and police officials of neighboring cities and counties are all here offering their assistance to Texas City.
We found out some interesting information over there that hasn't been covered up to this point. Lamarck Negro School is the refugee center for the colored people. We've been rather in doubt as to where they were being kept, but we have found out that is where a lot of the injured and missing can be found.
Buford T. Justice.
The water came up
Smokey the Bandit,
dock, which was constructed of 3-inch planking, and it threw me about 25 or 30 feet back, and I landed on solid ground with all this planking on top of it. I was out for about 40 minutes, I think.
Damn.
And when I came to, and I tried to move the lumber off of me, but I couldn't move any. There was 2 rescue men passing down the roadway, and I hollered at them, and they came over there and picked this lumber off of me and tried to get me on my feet. Both my legs were broke, so I couldn't stand up, so they picked me up and took me over to the first aid place, where some Army officer gave me a shot and told me to take me to Galveston. And in the meantime, I told these boys that there were some other men in that same vicinity under that lumber, because I was talking to them. And they put me in an ambulance and sent me to Galveston.
What were you thinking about while you were underneath all that lumber?
Everything that I did wrong in my early days. That kept me busy.
Yeah, seriously, what would you think? What would you think while you're under all of the while you're under a pile of lumber watching everything burn around you?
There fire all around you?
There was fire over across the slip, and all around the back of me where I could see there was fire, and that was the only thing that was worrying me, that this place might catch a fire, and I'd burn up underneath all that lumber, and I didn't think that was too pleasant a way to die.
Then they took you to St. Mary's in Galveston.
I went to St. Mary's Hospital in Galveston there, and I spent 87 days in there. I lost a leg in the meantime.
87 days in the hospital.
From 6 in the evening, the freighter SS High Flyer has been burning. It, too, carries a cargo of ammonium nitrate, and attempts to tow it away from the pier have been fruitless. For hours, firefighters worked vainly to bring it under control, and rumors of another impending explosion begin to sweep the city.
This is Ben Kaplan, KTHD News Director. I've just left Mayor J.C. Tran. Original explosion which set off the disaster.
God dang, there goes the ship.
Another explosion. The sky.
And there goes the other ship. Right while they're talking. They're talking live when the other ship blows up. God damn. Steph says, can you imagine the ones who were unaccounted for? Yeah, that's what they were talking about earlier, where they were just finding pieces of jawbone and stuff. I mean, that's before there was any DNA. They probably didn't even, I don't even think they had dental record matching technology even back in the, at that point. Fingerprints weren't even in existence at that point. Well, I mean, fingerprint forensics weren't around in the 40s. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was people that were just literally vaporized. That you just knew they didn't come home, so you had to assume. Flux, thank you so much for the super chat. Good to get a super chat from you. This is like what happened in Beirut in 2020. Well, we'll be talking about Beirut. Beirut's down the line here. That's we'll be talking about Beirut a little bit later. Thank you so much for the super chat. Whew. I mean, damn, we just watched the second ship go up live. Look at that. God.
This is the original explosion which set off the disaster. Here comes another explosion. The sky.
Oof.
You have just heard it. We are bending down. The sky is like broad daylight. No one knows what it is from where we are. We have all hit the ground. We are all lying on the ground. It may have been another barge that went up. The sky is still. We are all.
Yeah, and poor camera people taking refuge next to a fuel truck. God. Ugh.
Another barge that went up. The sky is still red. We are all hitting the dirt. I hope you can hear me. This is Ben Kaplan, your KTHD News Director, with the entire KTHD News staff lying down. Folks are running in the street. Some metal landed within 10 feet of us. Here comes the man now. Have you come from the dock?
Fuck.
All I know, it was a ship that was being towed away that they told us down there that was loaded with flour and it was not in any danger of it exploding. If it contains flour and lumber, well, I'll tell you one thing. Flour and lumber certainly blows, and I'm not trying to be comic at a time like this either.
As the second day wears on, the deputy mayor announces there is no imminent danger of further blasts along the waterfront. We're in good shape now.
we're in good shape now. And I guess by that they mean it's just not going to get any worse at this point.
On the third day, the situation is under control. Even while the rescue work continues, Monsanto Chemical Company publicly announces its intention to rebuild its Texas City branch. It is a powerful vote of confidence in a brave people, and the people take heart. On Saturday, April 19th, the survivors of Texas City gather in the high school football field to mourn their more than 550 dead, to pray for their 4,000 injured.
Jesus.
Many other terrible stories came out of the Texas City blast. Identifying the dead was difficult because shrapnel had torn many of the 552 victims apart. One identification was made when a headless torso was brought in with a car key buried in its chest.
God.
A woman thought the key looked familiar and asked to see it. She took the key to her family car and inserted it into the ignition. The car started. The corpse was her husband.
Can you even fucking imagine? Can you even imagine that? Holy shit. I mean, there's a headless torso with a key buried in its chest. And you think, oh yeah, I've seen that key, I think. Let me see if it starts the car, and it does. I mean, that is some shit you would see in like a horror movie or a comedy movie or something like that, and you'd say, "Oh, get the fuck out of here! That's ridiculous." I mean, that would be so unbelievable that you could not put that in a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Friday the 13th or a Halloween movie. You'd be like, "All right, okay, now you've jumped the shark. Now you've just crossed into bullshit territory." That's why they say that truth is stranger than fiction, right there. Literally, you could not make that shit up. And if you put that in a script somewhere, somebody would look at the script and go, "Oh, come on. People are going to walk out of the theater if you put that bullshit in there." I mean, God, that's just horrific. I can't even imagine that. Ugh. But yeah, that was one of the early disasters, chemical disasters. Wow. Really hate to say hit that like button because it's kind of weird after seeing that. But if you like what we're doing here, if you're enjoying the videos, we've got 212 people here now and 166 likes. So get over there, hit that like button. Just reach on down there while we're bringing up the next set of videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I would deeply appreciate it. If YouTube has decided that you're unsubscribed, please make sure and check that you're still subscribed. And if you have unsubscribed, come on back. We want to have you back here. Today may not be what you want, but tomorrow may be. So don't unsubscribe because of what you see in one day here. We talk about a lot of shit. Some things you like, some things you don't. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then do the super chat thing if you're so inclined. The next little story, I want to take a little bit of an interlude here. It's kind of a little bit of a break from the three main accidents that we're talking about, and bring up a story that about a case that I'm involved in right now. It's still ongoing, so there's not a lot I can say about it. But this happened on September 28th, 2019. So coming up on 3 years. Just up the street from here, oh, we've got a cross. Thank you so much for the super sticker. A nice little thumbs up, Fox. That's great. Appreciate that. Super stickers are as awesome as always. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And definitely not Brandon. Friday is going to be an international disaster. What game we playing? What game we're playing is Brandon, not Brandon, and definitely not Brandon. And hopefully Steph get involved to see who can throw the most money in my direction. That's the game we want to play. At least that's the game I want to play. We'll leave it up to you guys. You guys are awesome. So yeah, that's what we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing. What did we have? We had 17 shots last month. We had 17 shots. I survived pretty much unscathed because I learned my lesson and had lots and lots of water and a full stomach. So let's see if we can break the 17 rule, the 17 shots. Let's see if we can break that up. That's the game we're going to play. All right. Now that little unintended grift is out of the way. This happened, like I said, about 3 years ago, 2 years and 11 months ago, about 45 minutes up the coast from me. I remember we got a call. I got a call early in the morning from the law office saying there's been an explosion in the city of Ulsan, which is a major chemical plant. I mean, it's a major industrial city with lots and lots of chemical plants, chemical manufacturers, chemical storage areas. Virtually all of the chemicals that come in and out of Korea go through the port of Ulsan. And there was a ship that was parked under a bridge, under like the Ulsan City Bridge, the aesthetic center of Ulsan, Korea. Yeah, and so we had to go do that, and that also involved chemicals. It was a chemical tanker. One of the tanks went up. Flux, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm closing on my house this week. I'm allowed $5,000 to blow. I'm coming for you Friday, Jeffy. Wow. You know what? The minimum for the shots is $100. There is no maximum. So if you just wanted to give $5,000 for one shot, that'd make me happy. Anyway, thank you so much for the super chat. Look forward to seeing you on Friday, Flux. But yeah, this was a chemical tanker that went up. One of the holds exploded. Can't really go into a lot of more detail, but we can look at some of the video. These are videos. Imagine it's funny but not funny. Imagine here being where we want this one here. Boom. This is a dash cam. This is a dash cam video. This is the bridge. Imagine people being on this bridge. The ship is underneath. It's literally directly under this bridge. And this is some dash cam video shot by a couple who were going across the bridge early that morning. It was raining that morning. I remember that. Yeah. If I Execution asks, can you even super chat 5,000? $500 is the limit, but you can do $500 10 times. Anyway, so check out the dash cam video here. Imagine this is what you see and hear as you're driving onto this bridge very early one. I believe it was a Saturday morning.
Oh! Oh,
back, hurry. Yeah, so that was the explosion from a dash cam. Yeah, can you imagine going up onto that bridge? You're just early morning, not thinking anything, and then you just see this big mushroom cloud go boom in front of you. Yeah, that's that was a big explosion. No, you don't see that every day. Tweety Kid said, yeah, this is a case that we've been working on for 3 years now. Let's see. There's the next video I wanted to show you from that particular accident is this one here. Now this is CCTV camera taken from the pier. This is the side of the ship. We can back up the video a little bit. There's a few things to note here. There's people doing their stuff here. These two ships, what they do is they pump nitrogen into the tanks to clean out the tanks, so that you can put more chemicals in. That's why they're looking all steamy, because they basically have nitrogen in them. And here is the hatches for some of the chemical tanks on the vessel. Yeah. And those letters that say no smoking, safety first, prevent, those letters are about 6 feet, 2 meters high. This right here is a guy. That little white spot is a hat. He's wearing a white hat and a white vest and a white jacket. Keep your eye on him, the white hat and the white work clothes. You can't see it here, but there's a ladder that goes off the ship right here. And that's his job. This guy's job is to sign people on and off the ship. They have to keep a record of exactly who goes on and what time and who goes off at what time. And that's his job. He's just basically hanging around there at the gangway, letting people on and off. He is right here when this explosion goes up. He's standing right there. Now, something to keep in mind is, I mean, watch the guy walk around. He was not seriously injured. He suffered a few burns to his hands and a little bit and some burns on his ears. This is something, if you're in his situation, you either believe more in God or you start believing in God after this experience. But yeah, this is a CCTV camera view taken from the pier of this ship going up. And what you're going to see is there's like an initial like pressure wave, a little bit of like a puff of steam and a little bit of pressure wave. And then an instant later, the ship goes up in about 20 seconds from now. So you can see the people just doing their job, minding their own business. Got the guy walking around back and forth here. And coming up about 2 seconds, you're going to see a little puff of smoke here and then bang.
저 가운데서 뭔가 터졌네.
And this is all burning debris and burning chemicals. So yeah, that was a. And again, where are we at here? This. Keep your eye on the guy. He's over here now, I guess. Yeah, he's right there. And he saw this puff and turned to run and like crouched down and turned to run. And somehow the video keeps freezing because I keep pushing pause, I guess. So yeah, watch him here. He gets completely enveloped in flames, but doesn't, for some mysterious reason, it's not, he doesn't die. He doesn't even really get hurt.
저 가운데서 뭔가 터졌네.
Yeah, it's a. That was a big explosion. It says, Execution says, no, when you're playing it, it freezes. I don't know. More than one of you are having that problem. I wonder what the oldie deal is then. Because everything's fine on my end. That is the one good thing about Korea is they have amazing internet. Maybe I'm just too good for y'all. Let me see what we can do here. Talk amongst yourselves. Checking my system, see what I can do for you guys. Because I am directly wired into a 5G super mega fast Wi-Fi as well as hardwired into my Ethernet. So I guess it's just all y'all's problem. Well, yeah, Steph says, oh, stop. Just Legal Vice is too hot to handle. That's me. Yep. Turned off Wi-Fi. Well, suppose it's on all y'all. I have no idea what to tell you other than I'm just too awesome. I agree with Steph. I guess I'll lower the video quality on the video. Does it only happen when I'm playing the videos? Yeah, I've turned off the Wi-Fi. So we are just running purely on Ethernet right now, and it says my connections are awesome and good. So, all right. Okie dokie. Anyway, so this video is particularly bad. Okay, well, dang. Huh. Well, let me turn off. I mean, Bluetooth has nothing to do with it. I'll just turn off Bluetooth to make sure we're all that way. And on that note, I guess let's watch another video and let me know if the same thing happens. I've literally done everything I can do at my end other than reducing the quality of the video. And I would hope we don't have to do that because I like watching high quality videos. I mean, that is a legit problem being here in Korea, is everything is so well wired, everything is so fast that you kind of get ahead of other places. I'm freezing as well. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, see, Coco says working beautiful. Other people say I'm freezing. Rack has had the same problems. Fine on mine. You're freezing. Well, I guess you're all just kind of different, I guess. You know, whatevs. All right. Let's watch ye oldie video here and see what happens. This is, if we watch, okay, here's just one more. This is a 30-second video, so this will be a good test case. The resolution is, all right, I've set the resolution to 360p for this thing. So we've gone rock bottom. Let's see if that helps any of you out. This is another camera position taken of the ship. Let's see, it is, where are you? Boom, boom, boom. All right, here we go. This is the entire side of the ship, and you can see the bridge overhead here. So this is where the mushroom cloud came from. Yikes. Yep, there you go. That was another view of the explosion. That's a case that I said I've been working on for the last 3 years. We're kind of winding down to the end of that case, so maybe I can talk a little bit more about it after everything is finished. But these port explosions are real. I mean, there's a lot of damage that gets done. Just these chemicals, because once they start going, it's very, very hard to stop, and you can do so much damage in such a small amount of time. And with that ship explosion, the one that I'm involved in, the fact that nobody was killed, there was one semi-serious injury, but no life-threatening injuries. I mean, it's a miracle, and it's a miracle it happened where it did and not at the chemical plant pier that it was at a few hours before this happened. So yeah, it's an all-around miracle. Baby Doll, thank you so much for the super chat. No need to change vid resolution because stream freezes. Sound is always fine, even when no vid is up. Doesn't last long. Isabel says, have you looked at the 1917 Halifax explosion? That's on the list. We won't have enough time to do it today, so it's not on today's list. But yeah, that's on the list. It'll be here in a future event. No need to worry about that. We've got it covered. The chemical that exploded, Dan, can you say what chemical was exploded? The chemical at issue was styrene monomer, which is essentially a kind of a plasticky sort of thing. And it, when it gets hot, it turns into a big explosion and gets solid, and it's just a mess. Styrene monomer. It's a big dangerous thing. You have to be very, very, very careful with it. But anywho, the next main thing I wanted to look at was an incident that happened in Tianjin, China, which I want to say was in 2019. 2018, 2019, but in Tianjin, nitrocellulose, the chemical nitrocellulose went up, and that killed 181 people. Let's say Tony G says this chemical is dangerous. Let's put it on a boat. You gotta get the chemicals somewhere somehow. That's just. I mean, you have massive safety protocols in place to make sure that things don't happen, but sometimes they do. Sometimes things out of your control happen. But yeah, that's shipping. The shipping industry is an incredibly dangerous industry because, as we've said, you don't. I mean, you have so many things that have to be treated so many different ways on the same ship. It's amazing that to me anyway, it's amazing that there's not more. There aren't more accidents than there are. I said, hey, I saw my first ever cat boy on Friday. I wouldn't have known what it was before you talked about it on one stream. glad to be of service, I guess. So yeah, this Tianjin explosion, this video, it's a short video. It's about a minute and a half, I think, maybe a little more than a minute and a half. But in this explosion of this nitrocellulose at the pier in Tianjin also is a huge chemical port in China, just outside Beijing. 181 people dead. 798 were injured. Now this video was taken by presumably, I believe it was an English teacher who was having a party at his house with his Chinese girlfriend. And I mean, if he wasn't an English teacher, he was someone who worked for some company there, but I believe it was like English teachers hanging out having a party. And this is the video. You can see them. It starts out, I guess it's only 1 minute long. It starts out with everybody, going, oh, look, there's a fire down at the port. Ah, ha, 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 joking and laughing. Oh, it was probably a gas station that blew up. They're all laughing about the fire and the explosion. And then suddenly it stops being funny. And then people start screaming and crying. And these guys are miles away. I believe they're like 1.5 miles away, so a little over 2 kilometers away. So let's watch this video of people thinking a fire is funny and then suddenly realizing that maybe it's not funny anymore. I don't know if any of you have seen this video, but again, now people, if you're going to record shit, this is just my pet peeve. Don't do it in portrait mode. Do it in landscape mode. You have landscape on your phone. I just hate people that film videos like this in portrait mode. But let's watch and listen to something being cute and funny and then suddenly taking a very, very serious fucking turn. And again, remember they're a little over 2 kilometers, a little over 1.5 miles away.
Whoa! Holy shit! Fuck yeah, I'm videoing it. What the fuck?
I think that might be a gas station.
Yeah, it's all funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gas. Whoa! Oh! What the?
Now it stops being funny.
Shit! No fucking what? Oh shit! Oh shit! No, baby! Oh no!
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my god! Oh dear!
Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming!
Wow! Wow! I think we are dangerous.
Yeah, check that shit out. Watch that again. They're over 2 kilometers away. They're a mile and a half away.
Fuck yeah.
And these are skyscrapers here. These are probably 30, 40, 50-story buildings right here.
I think that might be a gas station or something.
Fuck yeah, it's a gas. Whoa! Oh! What the? Holy shit!
No, those aren't fireworks. That's just chemical explosions.
Oh shit! No, baby! Oh no!
Yeah, notice how it's not funny anymore. And they're still, and these are like massive high-rise cranes, and you've got the gigantic high-rise buildings. What caused the explosion? I'm not sure what caused it. I just know what it was. It was just nitrocellulose. I mean, something happened to ignite it. And yeah, they ran out of the building. They're crying and screaming the entire time. They're running down the stairway at that distance.
Oh!
Yeah, well, Isabel Randy, the girl's either laughing or crying, though. She was laughing at the beginning, and now she's doing the laugh-cry thing. And then after the third explosion, she's definitely doing the crying thing.
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my god! Oh dear!
Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming!
This is fucking amazing. Just
I think we are dangerous.
Let's go! Let's go!
yeah, that was the Tianjin explosion. I said I believe that was 2019. I forgot to check what day it was, but that's when things go from, oh, look, this is funny, to holy fuck, it's not funny anymore. And we need to get out of here. And again, remember, they were more than 2 kilometers, more than a mile and a half away. About 3 kilometers, I guess it would be. And now I know we've talked about it before. How was the video, by the way? Did that video freeze up? I'm just kind of curious. Well, because I'd be worried about chemical contamination and debris for sure. That was the thing that with the one I just showed, where we had to go and we had to go on site to where that fire was, and the fire was still going when we were there. It was under control, so it wasn't a dangerous thing at that point. But it's raining, and it was kind of hard to breathe, and I remember thinking, we probably shouldn't be out here in this. We should probably be somewhere inside, or at least have gas masks on. So yeah, we kind of cleared out of there after a bit and went somewhere else. Well, sorry for the video to be all choppy and shit. Well, hopefully YouTube will pull their head out of their ass, or StreamYard will pull its head out of its ass, and we'll get it taken care of. So the last one I wanted to show and address tonight, as we look at major pier disasters, is the Beirut 2020 accident. 2 years ago in Beirut, 215 people were killed, and 7,000 people were injured. And again, this was one of these deals where the explosions were felt miles and miles and miles away. They're breaking, windows are breaking, 2 kilometers, 2 miles, 3 or 4 kilometers away. Just the devastation that was coming from this. And again, it was also ammonium nitrate, which is what took out the Grandcamp in the first video we watched. It was ammonium nitrate, 7,000 people injured, 215 people dead. And my understanding is they're still investigating it. There's been some political issues that have blocked the investigation, if my information is still current. So let's bring up and this is shown from several different angles. What this happened was there were some fireworks that had got on fire, and they dealt with that, but apparently not well enough, I believe. All righty. Where are we here? We want massive Beirut explosion. Not massive explosion in Beirut. We want massive Beirut, Lebanon explosion. All right.
May not be suitable to all viewers. I don't normally post content like this, but many subscribers from Lebanon requested me to post this to raise awareness. Please pray for Lebanon.
I mean, that's just a fucking nuclear bomb right there. That's just a damn nuclear bomb.
Subscribers from Lebanon requested me to post this to raise awareness. Please pray for Lebanon.
Yeah, that's the fireworks that were going up there. There was some fireworks, I believe, were on a ship or something. Old fireworks in a storage facility, something to do with the old fireworks. And then the shockwave from this thing is just ridiculous. Did you see that? Just watch this shockwave. Watch this shockwave burn its way through the city. I mean, you can see it coming towards the camera, and then on the ocean, you can see the shockwave come across the water. Look at that. Just look at this line here. As this shockwave comes and knocks these people on their ass from, this has got to be 2.5 kilometers. It's got to be more than well over a mile away. Look at that. Oh. And again, watch this as this goes up. Watch the shockwave just come through the water here. Here it comes. Boom, boom. Oh. Schools.
Whoa.
Ugh. That's crazy. God dang. Ugh. Can you imagine? And then just the devastation after, miles and miles away. Yeah, that's now there's these are just people that are going about their everyday lives in a city, and something that happens in a port clearing the shit over on the other side of the city affects them. I think one of the strangest videos I saw was this woman who was doing wedding photographs. She was taking care of her wedding photography when this thing went up. Where are we at here? Yeah. This is a couple just taking their wedding pictures.
يعذرة.
I mean, that little... Yeah, I guess he cut short his sermon. I'm kidding. You're just totally unprepared for this stuff. And it's the little things that set it off. Little things that you can control, little things that you can't control. You know, we've seen a lot of devastation tonight. We've seen a lot of carnage. And they all happen from these little things, these little incidents. Like the first one, the Grandcamp there in Texas City, Texas. 600 people dead, 4,000 people injured. Most likely because one person was smoking a cigarette, one cigarette in the hold of a ship. Blows up that ship, blows up the ship next to it, blows up the next ship across the harbor the next day, takes out oil refineries on two sides, levels a city. Wait. Hang on, I've got a video going that I don't want going. There we go. But yeah, and then you got this thing in Tianjin, China. That takes out 171 people. I mean, at what point, 181 people, injure 798. Beirut, 215 dead, 7,000 injured. These little accidents can become these ridiculously huge incidents. And just like that, you can vaporize hundreds of people. And that's the awesome. And I don't mean like cool, awesome. I mean awesome in like awe-inspiring part of the work that I do sometimes when you're dealing with these ridiculously huge things, or where you'll get ships that'll hit each other and they will spill thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons or liters of oil, and take out entire ecosystems. It's appalling, I guess is the word to use, that just the destruction that can happen. We've developed as a society to the point where we're reliant on chemicals like this. We need these chemicals to make our world go round, but they're also incredibly dangerous. And you need to be on your toes all the time. So those are some of that's the Maritime Monday disasters I wanted to get into today. Someone had mentioned the Grandcamp. This is one or two of you had mentioned that to me before as a possible thing to look at. So I started looking at that and I thought, okay, this is quite a bit like the Tianjin thing came to mind first, and then the Beirut thing. And so I was thinking, yeah, that's let's look at these. But the Nova Scotia incident, it was the 1917 explosion. That was a little bit different. So I decided I didn't want to shortchange that by rushing through that tonight. We'll do that on a different night. Alan Tempest, will we be doing the Titanic soon? Probably not. For some reason, I'm not really interested in the Titanic. I think it's been done to death. I think everybody knows something about the Titanic. Maybe I will, but I like learning these new things, hearing about things that I've never heard about before, and looking at things that I have heard about from different angles. I won't say no. I'm just saying I'm not particularly like thrilled about the Titanic or motivated about it, because I think there's been enough out there. There's a lot of stuff for us to look at. So don't hate me, Alan. I probably won't be doing the Titanic anytime soon. Who knows? Friday, get me drunk enough and I might do the Titanic. Okay. Barney, the Titanic was an assassination to establish the Federal Reserve, or was it really the Titanic that sank? Dun, dun, dun. That's another conspiracy, that it wasn't actually the Titanic that was sunk. There's a lot of conspiracies around that. But yeah. Wow. So again, next Monday, I don't know what we'll cover. Let me just for your information, let's see what we've got coming up. This is what's on my list currently. This is my current Maritime Monday links. Let me update it here. Get rid of the $42 million yacht that sank. We don't care about that anymore. We just did the Grandcamp and Tianjin and Beiruit. We got all of that done in one fell swoop. So what we've got here coming up, delete. The Steamboat Sultana. Big steamboat accident that happened. The Penley lifeboat disaster. That was a particularly nasty incident. The SS Pendleton, Piper Alpha oil rig. We did an oil rig a couple of weeks ago. Where Piper Alpha is another oil rig we'll be dealing with. The Estonia is an old case. The Scandinavian Star, the wreck of the Peter Iredale. And ghost ships. I've put ghost ships in kind of this nebulous region on my list between Maritime Monday and the unexplained, because while on the one hand these ghost ships are maritime related, they're also unexplained. Colonel Canyon asks, have you done the Costa Concordia? Yes, we did that. What was it, 3 weeks ago? I forgot when we did it, but yeah, a couple of Maritime Mondays ago, we did the Costa Concordia. Go back and watch the video. That was a good video. It was a little, again, there was another massive loss of life there, but it was a little more amusing than this one was today. So yeah, we've done the Costa Concordia. The Steamboat Willie disaster. No, pirate ship. No, not pirate. The ghost ships. You know, like the Marie Celeste is the big ghost ship. The ship floats into harbor with nobody on board. Yeah, missing lifeboats. There's half-eaten food. There's half-drunk drinks on tables, and the only thing that was on the ship was a dog. No records. There's mysterious ghost ships like that. There's even been a couple of good movies about ghost ships. I think one of them was actually called Ghost Ship. What about military ships? The SS Pendleton is coming up. Like I said, we've got perhaps we might be doing some submarine accidents. They're kind of rolling around in my head. But yeah, if there's anything in particular, if there's a particular case, send me a link to if there's a good YouTube video about it or something. Send me the link and let me know about it. My email address is thelegalvices@gmail.com, or text me on Twitter. My Twitter is thelegalvices. So if there's rather than just throwing out a name of some particular incident, if you can also send a link to a video you would like to watch, or at least a video that will set me down the trail for other videos, that would be much appreciated. I wish I was drunk. How are we all today? We are all great. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. I think within the next few minutes. It's getting to be 11 p.m. here. I've got a bunch of stuff to do before I go to sleep. But let's talk again about what's going on here. We've got the super mods. You're doing an absolute amazing job. I love all you mods to death because you keep me afloat here. The chat, you're insane as always. Can't do this without you. If the chat's not here, we don't need the mods. If we don't have chats and mods, well, what the hell am I doing here? So you all keep it here. You all bring it here. Tell your friends about this place. Bring your friends over. Have them subscribe. Let's get our numbers up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. What do we got here? We got 230 people concurrently and 221 likes. Given the turnover, I think that probably means about 100 of you hadn't hit the like button. If you've been here for more than 30 seconds, hit that like button. I would appreciate it, and it would let YouTube know that you like what's going on here. And later, when we're going to wrap this up here in 5 or 10 minutes. After we do that, come back a little bit later and just leave a comment. YouTube considers that engagement, which is one of their important things. Just leave the date, your time of day, your location. Tell YouTube to intercourse themselves, whatever. Just leave a comment when you can. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Oh, and we have Excation. Thank you so much for the super chat coming in at the wire. When are you going to watch Survivor's Guide to Prison? I emailed it to you weeks ago. I've seen that. I watched that series before. It's good. There's copyright. There's major copyright problems with that. I love watching all of those types of shows, the prison shows and whatnot. The thing, like I said, other than the big copyright thing, the deal with that is there's lots of things like that out there. Mondays we just do the maritime stuff because that's what I do. I do maritime law. So that's what I know what I'm talking about. Trials and other things coming up. We got lots of those things to do. But if there's a way that I can really work around the copyright issue, things like that might be fun to take little bits and pieces of. Kitty Cat, thank you so much. Reminder, your chat is known as the Vice Squad. Oh, are we known as the Vice Squad now? When did that happen? I was unaware we're the Vice Squad. Okay. I don't have any paper here to write that down. I'll have to remember that. And how did we decide? How did we decide that? just curious. I like the ring of that. Vice Squad has a good name. I'm gonna remember that. Thanks. Appreciate that, Kitty Cat. Vice Squad it is. We are now Legal Vices and the Vice Squad. And as you all know from LawTube, apparently I'm also the vice president. See how that works? Legal Vices and his Vice Squad, vice president of LawTube. I like that. Vice Squad. That's pretty good. Whoever did that, Kitty Cat, if that was your own thing, cool. If actually some people got together and did that, you're weird, but thanks. That's great. All right. What we've got coming up on not yet. Execution wants another one here. Thank you so much. It's not a series. It's free to distribute. Documentary by Matthew Cook. Hang on. Wait just a second here. Okay, well, yeah, that's it's on Netflix now. That's the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, it's got Danny Trejo in it, and yeah, that's I don't know why it would be free to distribute. Yeah. It's still in release, but yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. We would have serious, I believe. Well, we can try it one day and see, just a test stream or something. But yeah, that being a distributed and released documentary, you're gonna run into, especially it only being 3-4 years old, you're gonna run into a lot of problems with it, I think. But we can check it out. Let's see, we just did down here. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Yes, that is the documentary that's been distributed. Oh, here we got Coco. Thank you so much, Coco. You being live is awesome, but you also cover some super cool topics. Well, that's great. If I can be live and super cool, I try my best. Steph, thank you so much for Legal Vices. Rawr. Anyway, thank you so much, Steph. Appreciate that. But yes. Okay. Actually, I streamed it on Twitch and YouTube once, and it never flagged. Okay, so you streamed it on YouTube. That's I mean, Twitch, you can pretty much do anything. I think you could probably kill someone on Twitch and they wouldn't have a problem with it. All right, you streamed it on YouTube once. Well, we'll look into that and then get into it if we need to. So it doesn't really fit anywhere particular in the format, but hey, it might be a good Fuck It Friday stream. As a matter of fact, let's as long as I'm thinking about it, we can throw it on what is it, October, on October's Fuck It Friday, maybe. As long as we're going to do something to get demonetized, may as well get demonetized in style, I guess. So I'll try to remember to do that for the October Fuck It Friday. Now we're 2 hours and 1 minute, and it's this way I don't have to say F It Friday. I can just say Fuck It Friday now. All right, well, that's what we're going to be doing, letting you know what's coming up for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to have Salt Lake County District Attorney Danny on the show, where we're going to be talking about police use of force issues. When is it justified? When is it not justified? And looking at specific cases. We're going to look at 3 specific cases tomorrow. Danny's going to be here at the beginning, and I don't know how long she can stay. She's in the middle of doing her candidacy work, campaigning for her hopeful position. She's trying to be the Salt Lake County District Attorney. We're going to be talking about 2 cases from Salt Lake City. One was a case of a police shooting that came under serious scrutiny. Very, very problematic case where the current district attorney, after 4 years, finally decided not to prosecute the police officer. So we're going to look into that. And for me, just heads up, I think the guy should have been prosecuted. We'll go through the video. We'll talk about some of the news sources, and we'll hear Danny's views on it. Danny's very highly critical of that case. And another case that just came to light, it happened, I think, around August 6th, and the Salt Lake City Police Department just released all of the body cam footage the other day, I think on Friday or Saturday. A guy was drunk, possibly, I mean, he was definitely intoxicated, possibly having mental issues. The police took him down. They handcuffed him, and he died. We'll be looking at that. And in that case, people are hitting the police hard for that. He shouldn't have died. There's no excuse. They're hitting the police hard for use of force, and specifically Salt Lake City Police Department are required by their policy to use de-escalation techniques. They're being hit hard for not using de-escalation techniques. When I disagree, I think they used very, very clear to me anyway, de-escalation techniques. And given the circumstances, the way I see them, I don't think the police needed to use any de-escalation techniques. But we'll look at those news stories. We'll look at some of the criticisms, and we'll look at the body cam footage, and maybe get Danny's comments on that as well. So Danny on, she's her husband's Korean. She's American, and she used to live here in Busan about 10 years ago already. Geez, time flies. So now she's running for Salt Lake County District Attorney. She's running against Sim Gill, the current district attorney, who has a very, very long history and is very, very highly criticized for sitting on domestic violence cases for years, sitting on murder cases for years. And she'll talk a lot about that as well. The importance of making quick decisions on open cases. And then we'll also look at new information that's come to light regarding the Arkansas police beatdown that we watched last week. So those are the 3 big deals. The 4-year-old Salt Lake City case, the shooting incident where the police were decided to be not charged by the district attorney after 4 years. The new current case where the police are coming under criticism for not using de-escalation techniques, which led to the death allegedly of this man, and the Arkansas police. That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. That'll be interesting. That'll be fun. It'll be great to have Danny back here. She's totally unbreaded. She's a hard hitter. She's a straight talker. Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday, we'll be having a light night. We'll be relaxing. We'll be watching an hour-long video of Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez sitting down and doing an interview with the president of the Beverly Hills Bar Association, where they're just going to talk about what it was like to have Johnny Depp for a client, how they prepared, and what their experiences were with the trial. Just kind of wash some of that icky Amber Heard out of our mouth. Have a nice, lighthearted, happy conversation with Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez. We'll watch that video on Wednesday. Thursday will be the opening statements for the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. The O.J. Simpson trial was going on at the end of my 2nd year of law school, through that summer, and into the first part of my 3rd year in law school. So I remember I watched virtually every minute of that trial, either by skipping class or videotaping it and watching it after. So we'll watch we're going to watch several parts of that trial over the course of a significant amount of time. But Thursday will be the opening statements by the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. So we can compare and contrast how television has affected criminal prosecutions and how the system is different because of the O.J. Simpson trial. And then Friday is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the third Fuck It Friday, where I grift my ass off to get you to buy me drinks. I am not cheap. $100 gets you a shot. Minimum $100 gets you a shot of whatever particular rot gut I have on hand. And we're trying to beat our last month's record, 17 shots. I'm getting scared again already because we have Brandon, not Brandon, and definitely not Brandon. Steph was Mod Steph. She was throwing some drinks at me last month, so I'm kind of scared about that. And now, was it Flux who was saying that you've got $5,000 to burn? Just the only rule is don't send me to the hospital. That's the only rule. So that'll be fun. Again, Friday is just a fun grift stream where we just have fun. I beg for money, you make me drink. But the added bonus this Friday is it coincides with my weekly Fair and Balanced Unexplained stream. Mysteries or the paranormal, ghosts, conspiracy theories, and whatnot. And this week, because of the Artemis 1 rocket, which will hopefully launch, that would be fucking awesome if it launched on Friday while we were in the middle of the drunk Fair and Balanced, with the drunk legal vices and sober Fair and Balanced Unexplained stream. So that would be fun if the rocket would go up, because we're going to be talking about various mysterious things dealing with space. As a preview, what have we got here? I wrote down some topics. A Chinese astronaut who went alone in orbit and heard knocking on the outside of his spacecraft. We'll be talking about astronaut Edgar Mitchell and his comments on UFOs. We'll be talking about Buzz Aldrin and his views and experiences with UFOs. Fires on the moon seen by Neil Armstrong. Also, allegations or assertions that Neil Armstrong saw people watching them on the moon. And a mysterious thing that Neil Armstrong did, where after he came back from the moon, he invested a lot of money in searching for a secret reported ancient library in the jungles of South America. Sounds on the dark side of the moon. Astronauts recording eerie music-like sounds on the dark side of the moon. And the moon might be hollow. And then something that several of you have asked for, the lost Russian cosmonaut woman. A mysterious recording from a reported female cosmonaut that no one can account for. These are the things we're going to be talking about with Farron. While I get drunk. Steph, you're starting again. Legal vices, I have end of the month cash. Oh God. They're fun. And again, the reason I grift so hard one day a month is so I don't have to do it the rest of the month. Well, see, this is, we have a comment here from RBMKA56. Legal Vices is Art Bell. That's how I got into this. Those of you that know Art Bell, Coast to Coast AM, George Noory does it now. I haven't listened to it much since Art Bell died, but I listened to Art Bell every night from Coast to Coast AM from the time I was 12 or 13 years old and until he died. I loved Coast to Coast AM, Art Bell. The thing that I liked about Art Bell was he would talk about these things, the paranormal, psychics, astral projection, just whatever, any weird topic that nobody else would talk about with it. You know, nobody would let these people come on their show with a 10-foot pole, but Art Bell would treat them with at least a modicum of respect. He would let them tell their story in a non-judgmental way. He would give them a forum to talk about the things that other people wouldn't let them talk about. And that's how you learn about some really interesting and fascinating things. And so saying the Illegal Vices Art Bell is a huge compliment to me. I love Art Bell, and to be compared to him is ridiculous for Art Bell. But I mean, it's a great pleasure for me, because that's what I like. I throw the ideas. I mean, there's some just patently absurd ideas out there that I want nothing to do with, but for the most part, just throw them out there and let y'all make your own decisions. Flux is Farron won't be drinking because it'll be like 8 o'clock in the morning for Farron. I hope she's not drinking at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. But yeah, okay, this is interesting. She's talking to Matthew Cook right now, seeing if he'd be part of the stream. If you can hook us up, that would be good. That would be super awesome if you can pull something like that off. Again, my email address is thelegalvices@gmail.com. If you can hook me up with Matthew Cook, we could definitely do something, and I wouldn't do it while I was drunk either. That's one of the joys of having people that make things there with you. You can get through a lot of copyright issues. So yeah, let's see how that goes. That's a challenge. Kitty Cat could also work with Jeff as the captain of the ship, distracted by the squatting women cruising into the exploding harbor. I don't even know what that means, but okay. So that's where we are. We are here at the end of another Maritime Monday. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining me here. It's time to wrap this up. And as I said again, tomorrow, join me with the special guest, Danny On, candidate for Salt Lake County District Attorney, as we look at the issue of police use of force, when it's justified, when it's not, and when to prosecute. We'll see you then tomorrow night. Until then, thank you so much, my mods. Steph, you're awesome as always. Alan, so thank you so much for being here. Who else is still here? Do you have any of our mods still here? Steph and Alan, are you the only two that are still surviving? We had Rose at the beginning. Crystal, she said she checked in and she might have to check out, so I assume she checked out. But thanks to all of the mods for the great work you do. Again, thanks to chat for being here. Thanks for having a good time amongst yourselves and playing nicely. And until we see you again tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Have yourself a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and above all, don't forget to enjoy your legal vices. I'm out of here.